Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for joining in, taking some time on your Saturday morning or afternoon or wherever you are in the world. Maybe it's even Sunday for some of the Australian folks or whenever you listen to this. I just want to welcome you and tell you I am super excited and delighted that you're joining us today because I have an amazing guest today, and he's going to share his wisdom, his knowledge, and experience with us in what I'm going to say, creating a new normal, right? Okay, so we and some of us have other businesses and things that we've been engaged in, and of course, the word business kind of implies making money, right? Being compensated. We want to be compensated for our service. And I'm a firm believer in universal law. We are definitely compensated to the extent of our service. And this man that we're going to have today has definitely extended his heart and his service over the years. Russ DeVan has been around a long time in the industry of business and the social selling networks, or even just creating a modality, something different in the way we create a business. And some of you guys might be in it for the money. Nothing wrong with that. And so if that's the case, how are you taking things to the next level? In the social selling network arena or network marketing arena, I feel like there's been a stigma, right? There's been this misnomer about how to do business. This old concept of ignorance on fire. I don't buy that. And so today we're going to work on creating a new normal. And Russ has got some amazing tools, some tips, not tips, but just some systems that he has.
It's okay to say the word.
Some systems that he has put together. And I'm telling you, this man has shared the stage with some really cool people, the likes of Bob Proctor, Les Brown, Jim Rhodes, just some great people in the industry of personal development. And he brings to the table today kind of a way of putting things back in perspective. And this is what I like. When I met Russ, I could feel his heart. And this is what got me right away. And many of you guys that are in or building some sort of a business or have been attracted to something, whatever your product is, whatever your business is, you've been attracted. If you've done it correctly, it probably aligns with your passion, right? Probably aligns with who you are. And yet, are you giving your power away when it comes to building your business? So now maybe let's take that power back, right? And become a more personalized model for our business and see how Russ has put together some things around doing just that. So guys, I'm going to step out of the way and welcome Russ DeVan. Let's give him a hand here.
Don't give me a hand. That's fine. Just you're giving me an ear. That's plenty. Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be with you today. And Ken is right on the money on one thing. I have a very full heart about what I'm going to share with you, but I kind of want to establish some parameters for the call. Number one, I'm here to challenge the way you think. Basically, that's my intended result here. I'm not here to be right. I don't have all the answers. I have some questions you might want to consider, but this is not about motivating you. It's not about selling anything to you, getting you to follow me, selling you books and tapes. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to share what have come to be my beliefs and my particular style or system. That's probably a good word of training, but it also doesn't really define it very well. So I'm going to try to draw some distinctions between what I do and maybe what you're familiar with. But really the purpose of the call is just to have some fun. So I want you to really relax. Like if you want to take notes, that's fine. And you don't have to. It's being recorded. I'd rather just have you here and listening. And this call and how good it is actually depends more on you than it does me. Because what I want to do is I want to open up the call at some point and talk to you and have you talk to me. Maybe about the things we've discussed, maybe about something that's on your mind, like that. So we get to know each other a little bit. So going forward, here we are. what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tell you a little bit of my life's history, as much as I'd like to leave that part out. To give this some context, I want you to know that I have been engaged in a love-hate relationship with the system that we know as network marketing for almost 4 decades now, close to 40 years. It'll be 40 years next year. Okay. And in the first 10 years, it's not that important that I get into the gross details on that. I might later when I discuss some of the principles, but the first 10 years, I had both dramatic success, even by today's standards, I think. I mean, I think $10,000 a month is still the holy grail. Oh boy, if you can make that. And maybe people think of that, but 40 years ago, that was really a lot. That was really good. Okay. And I came into this not from, being familiar with network marketing or having somebody in the family that did it or knowing somebody that was Amway. It wasn't anything like that. I was in a corporate, Fortune 500 world. I was raised to get a good education and get a good job. And by the way, I didn't get to introduce myself or where I'm from, but my name is Russ DeVan, and that's like the car, the bus, the truck, the van. Okay. And if you say it fast, it sounds like a rusty van, but that's a good way to remember it, I guess. But I'm from a little town in Pennsylvania called Hanover. But I've lived in Scottsdale, Arizona longer than anywhere else in my life. I've lived here for 27 years now, which is almost a third of my life. But I'll always be from Hanover, Pennsylvania. And I love the East Coast. When I hear Virginia Beach, Virginia, that location has very special meaning and memories for me, as does many of the other places you mentioned, even Spokane, Washington, and British Columbia. I don't know where the rest of you are from. Anyway, so that's that. To get back to what we're talking about. So for 10 years, I had both what most people would consider success, to the point where I actually left my Fortune 500 position, much to the chagrin of my parents and family, and in the thick of a recession, and thought, why bust my hump making $3,500 a month, which by the way was also a lot of money. I was in the top 1% of sales of a Fortune 500 company at that rate. Why would I do that when I can make $10,000 and have my own thing going on? That's great. What I didn't anticipate, of course, was a year and a half or 2 years later, that whole thing blowing up and unraveling because, of all things, oil prices went down. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. And the company went from selling a fuel additive to bee pollen, so it's like somehow the distributors couldn't make the switch. Anyway, but I was hooked. Now I knew there was something to this network marketing thing. And I knew if I went out and tried to replace $120,000, $150,000 income getting a job, there wasn't anybody that would hire me. I mean, believe me, I tried. And they said, well, we'll start you at 20. And I'm like, 20 a year? Yeah, no, wouldn't work. So in fact, I kept a hand in network marketing. And there were times where I actually had jobs just to keep a hand in network marketing. I mean, it was more like that. I was going to get back there again. Okay. So for 10 years, I had this cyclical up and down thing going. And I'd get something going and the company would go under. I'd get something going and a distributor would steal everything. I'd get something going. And I did this for 10 years, watching companies rise and fall, watching distributor organizations go away, also not having it work at all. But in the meantime, also having short-term successes. So it came to a point in 1990, 91, that I thought, you know what, I really got to either find a way that this will work for me and other people, or I'm going to go drive a truck or do something fun. If you can see in the background, I don't know how much of my background you can see a tail hanging out. That's a dinosaur. Okay. So my passion is paleontology. Isn't that strange? Like a 5-year-old that never really outgrew his love of dinosaurs. But that's an eclectic part of myself that I'm not ashamed of. But my vision of having a good time is spending my knees in a remote place, looking for something that I probably won't find. So anyway, at that time, I decided that I got to figure this out or give it up. So at the time, I'd been on a path of personal development. I I wouldn't know about personal development wasn't for this type of business, because years ago there was a company called SMI, Success Motivation Institute, and they sold, books and tapes, and that started a whole new world for me. But in 1990, 91, I was engaged in a different kind of personal development. And for those of you who hear how I speak, some people say, well, so you were in Landmark Forum. Are you an EST? No, I never did any of those programs. And there's not anything wrong with those programs. And no, I'm not a Scientologist, but there is something called ontology. I'll say something about it later. But I was engaged in an ontological program that was a year-long course called Leadership, Productivity, and Service. And in order to graduate from this course, you needed to have a project. That was a measurable goal to create something that you started and a year later completed, or completed in less time, a measurable goal. And you used the distinctions and the parameters of a project to do that. So I decided to make my project finding a way to have network marketing work. Well, that didn't pass muster in terms of the measurement criteria. Okay, Russ, that's great. That sounds wonderful. So how are you going to do that? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to earn $10,000 a month in a network marketing company, and I'm going to show 5 people how to do the same thing. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, so you're going to do that. So I thought, okay, how do I do that? I've never done that before. I've earned $10,000 a month, but I've never shown 5 people at once how to do the same thing. How am I going to do that? So that's where the story really begins, because I started exploring what didn't work about network marketing for people. Okay, so if we look at that, and by the way, everything I say, everything you hear is just my opinion. So you're free to disagree with it, not use it, not care, not be, just, try it on, see if it fits. I could be wrong. But anyway, as I was looking at this, I thought, okay, where do people struggle with the network marketing model? Why does it have this stigma that Ken talks about? Why do people, when they hear network marketing, go, oh, really? Network marketing, huh? Okay, yeah, all right. Or and some other people go, yeah, well, okay, network marketing, that interests me. But the great majority of people don't get it, don't like it, don't want to hear anything about it. How come? Here's a business model, and that's what it is. It's a business model. It's a distribution model that, if you believe statistics, does 200 billion a year in sales worldwide. 200 billion. Now think of that. I'd say that's a successful business model, wouldn't you? It's a legal business model. 200 billion a year. Wow. Something going right there. Here's what statistic doesn't jive for me. There's over 100 million people doing it. So 100 million people producing 200 billion is pretty easy to figure out. That's $2,000 in volume a year per. So all the stuff you hear about, all of them, made more millionaires than any other, nonsense. It's taught at Harvard Business, nonsense. These are all things that have been said to give network marketing credibility that it doesn't have, and it constantly loses. And by the way, network marketing companies, I'll be saying more about this in a minute. Here's the first challenge to your thinking. I say there's no such thing. I think that's a cultural trance. There's no such thing as a network marketing company. Why would I say such a terrible thing? Well, ask Frank Vandersloot, the owner of Melaleuca, what kind of company he has or what he does. He'll say he has a personal care products company, a home-based business opportunity. It's not called Melaleuca Network Marketing Company. He will deny that it even is network marketing. Why would the owner of $1 billion company do that? Mary Kay Cosmetics. When was the last time you heard Mary Kay Cosmetics referred to as Mary Kay Cosmetics Network Marketing Company? Companies that have a product to sell do not identify themselves with a business or a distribution structure that has a stigma. They don't identify themselves with it. That doesn't mean they don't use one. especially one that's as proven as effective as this and is cost effective. So immediately when we enroll in a network marketing company, we collapse our identity with that company. I don't know, how many people do you know in this particular business model, in this particular new and exciting company, say, I'm with Healy? Are you? Really? Do you think they know that? Because Healy didn't join you. No, they actually did join you. You didn't join them. You picked them. They're a strategic alliance, but they didn't ask you to join them. If you call customer service, they're not going to say, oh, you're with us, huh? They're going to ask for your distributor ID number. The point I'm making is the minute people hear that you're involved in, that you're with something, you're with a third party that they have no connection to, you know what they hear? That must be a network marketing thing, right? So I'm going to say more about this in a minute when it comes to, but let's get back to where I was in the story. So I started exploring what didn't work about network marketing. And the first thing that showed up for me was, and then repeated things showed up for me, was it's rife with false belief systems. It just is. And I'll tell you what, remember, this is my opinion. So I'll give you some examples. The first stop, maybe one of the biggest, one of the reasons, in my opinion, most people avoid this type of business more than any other is prospecting. Either people for the product or people for the business opportunity. So what has the paradigm for prospecting been forever? In direct sales, in network marketing sales? Hell, I don't know, maybe it's sales in general. You know what it is? Here it is. Get ready. The warm and the cold market. So you got your warm market. Well, that's easy to figure out. Your warm market's nice and warm. It's people you know, right? Friends, neighbors, relatives. You know, people it's easy, that are easy to talk to. Then you've got the cold market. Don't you just love the sound of that? The cold market. So that's people you don't know. People that you don't know what to say because they're strangers. So how can you talk to somebody you don't know? I mean, I'm not comfortable talking to strangers. What do you want me to do? Go door to door? That's the cold market. So if somebody has had the network marketing experience and run out of warm market, and no one in their family or among their friends will speak to them anymore about it, now they've got the cold market, okay? So they say, okay, I'll just buy some leads and I'll use Facebook and I'll go after the cold market. Just tell me what to say. Paradigm number two. The holy grail is what you say to get somebody to do something. What if that's wrong? So I'm here to say that if the warm, and I'm not here to invalidate anything. Maybe those are things are valid. There's people that have used them and been successful. I suspect that these things, if they were true, at one point they're bankrupt now. They just don't work for people. Now, let me draw a distinction before I go any further between what I'm doing and what you may expect. When you hear training as it relates to our culture or even in your business, people generally think of training in one of two ways. They think of motivation. The training is, this guy he'll tell me things that I'll get excited. And people go to rallies and they go to weekend inspirational how-to. If you just bring your organization to this event, you're going to hear from people. You're going to see people up there that are doing it. They're going to tell you how they did it. You're going to get so excited. You're going to leave that. You're going to be on fire. Yeah, I love motivation as much as the next guy. And there are many powerful motivators that have touched my life. But in my experience, here comes another opinion. In my experience, I have never found a way that motivation could be sustained unless it was self-sourced. So the minute you move away from the motivator the motivation kind of wears off. You might hear good stuff, but they don't necessarily, they tell you the good stuff, but they don't necessarily give you how to apply it. So there's lots of motivation. Motivation is great. That's not what I'm here to do. Okay. And you probably said, don't worry, Russ. No problem. You're not motivating me anyway. But that's not my intention. My intention is to challenge how you think and maybe create some new possibilities. That's all. I don't have the right way, the only way. Okay. So one type of training is motivational training. And I would probably put personal development in that category. Like as I said, somebody asked me the other day, whose material are you using? I said, well, I'm using my material. And they said, no, where'd you get it from? I made it up. No. Who? Okay, so let me just look, like, I have no new material. How's that? And I'm clueless about where I got it from, because everything I train and everything I know is a sum of everything that I've learned, which has been the contribution of thousands of sources. But I wired it up like this. This is success by design. This is what I call untraining, because I don't put it out as training. I put it out as a possibility. What did I just do? Okay. A possibility. And that is something that you might be able to use or apply. All right. So now, so back to the model of training. The second type of training, the way we think of it, is what I'll call tips and techniques. And you heard Ken back off real quick on when he said tip. You know, I didn't mean to. Look, I guess some of what I do is tips and techniques. But when I say tips and techniques, I'm talking more about the 7 ways that I got to be the most successful distributor, or these are the sales techniques that every time you use them, people will say this, and then you say that. And then when they say this, you come back with this. And then when you do this, and the result when you do that 10 times is a sale. That's a technique. And if you look at the great majority of instruction or training books in network marketing, most of them are how-to, what I call how-to books. I don't have a how-to deal. So Russ, what is it? Well, it's more like this. If we take learning in 3 domains, that sounds funny, but that's part of this language. Then the domain of what we know is the sum of everything that we know. So, and now some of you may have heard where I'm going here. You might have heard the expression, but I'm going to try to put a different spin on it for you. So there's what we know. So we know what we know. It's what we know, right? But what we don't think about is what we don't know. Now, I say we know a lot of things that we don't know. Now, doesn't that sound funny? You say, what do you mean we know what we don't know? Well, I don't know anything about quantum physics. Not a thing about it. And by the way, I don't care to learn anything about it, quite honestly. I'm just not wired that way. But if I wanted to study quantum physics, I could study quantum physics and I can move it into the area of what I know. And then I'd know quantum physics. It's not in the don't know anymore. So there's the stuff that we don't know, but we know, and there's the stuff that we know. But there's a third domain. And every time I hear, most of the time, I hear somebody say this, they have no idea what they're talking about. They say, oh, that's what you didn't know. No. That's what you didn't know, and you knew. Because if you don't know something, but you don't know it, it doesn't exist for you. Like you're blind to it. So it's not there. Okay. Now, I use the analogy of it's like water to a fish. Okay, think about it. A fish lives in water. Do you think a fish knows what water is? No, just lives in it. So the domain of what we don't know is the largest domain of learning of all, and yet we're blind to it. But we do have access to it. And we have access to it through something called distinctions. So let me give you an example. If you have a car, I'm assuming you have a car, you bought a car, it's your car. You know, you went, you picked it out, you got the color, and maybe it was used, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was brand new. You got the one you wanted, the most efficient model. You know, you spend some time, you go through that awful process of having an image. You got to sign. It's like, you know, oh my gosh, it takes 5 hours to buy a car, right? Maybe more if you shop. But you bought a car. Have you ever had the experience when you buy a car of suddenly seeing it everywhere where you never saw it before? Like suddenly, you know, there it is, right next to you at the light. There it is, parked next to you in a parking lot. There it is, there it is, there it is. It's like, does everybody have one of these? And you never noticed it before. Why is that? I'll tell you why that is. Because when we go down the street and we're driving and we're out, there's all cars are everywhere, right? So what would it be like if our mind was going, there's that car. Oh, look at that car over there. Oh, there's a car. Oh, how about this car? Look at this car. No, those cars have no meaning to us. What has meaning to us is our car because we have one. So it stands out. If I was to show you a picture of 100 cars, all different makes and models, and one of them was exactly the same make, model, and color, which one would you pick out? That one, because it's yours. Now you say, what's your point? My point is this, is that my training is based on unconcealing, not on giving you new knowledge. It's based on giving you distinctions of things that you probably already know. I don't promise to teach people new stuff. I'm teaching you stuff that's right there in front of you and you don't see it and you don't get it. And what it means about my type of training is ideally I'll put myself out of a job, meaning that you'll learn what I know and you'll add your own thing to it and then you go from there. So it's not like, you know, we have to keep doing this and you have to write things down and you got to, you know, because once I give you a distinction for something, you're not going to forget it because you already know it. Chances are. Every once in a while, there'll be something that say, boy, I'm glad I knew that. Another example of a distinction is think of when you don't know a word. You see it somewhere and what you're reading is really important to you and you see this word hanging out there and it's like, I want to know what that word means. So you look it up and you see what that word means. You go, huh, God, I never knew that. I just learned a new word. Now suddenly you see the word everywhere. You never saw it before. You never remembered seeing it, but now it just starts to show up. Why is that? Same thing. So how does this pertain to what we're talking about? Well, remember the first dilemma that I spoke of that most people face in the network marketing model is prospecting. And that's because of a couple things. One is because there's this paradigm, forgive me, I know it's a cliche, but there's this paradigm that the people we know are more likely to talk to us or be interested in what we have to say. Have you found that to be true? Because I say no, that's not true. And that people don't like to talk to people they don't know. Have you ever heard that? Well, I'm uncomfortable talking to people that I don't know. Really? Do you want to buy that? Think about it for a second. Are you uncomfortable talking to people that you don't know? Because I say no. I say talking to people you don't know with a hidden agenda and trying to get them to do something without them finding out what you're up to. That's what you're uncomfortable with, not talking to somebody you don't know. I mean, when we used to have athletic events, remember those? When we used to go to football games and stuff like that, we sit behind people we don't know all the time that happen to be rooting for the same team. And when our team scores, we spill beer on them and hug them and high five them, and we have no idea who they are. So I say we don't have any problem with speaking or associating or even caring about people we don't know. Now, trying to get them in a deal, trying to sell them a product they're not even aware of, and they don't know. Okay. So here's the challenge. What if this is so? Here's a new proposition. What if the warm and the cold market is a false premise and has been for 5 decades or 10 decades or centuries? I don't know. What if it's a false premise? It's not whether we know someone or not that makes them a prospect. How about that? Wow, what? It's not whether we know someone or don't know them that makes them a prospect. Huh. Let's consider that. So maybe it's not whether you know someone. Maybe somebody in your family is a prospect. You don't have to throw out the warm market. Maybe they're not. Maybe you don't know somebody in your family. Did you ever consider that one? I know I haven't known either one of my older brothers for close to 30 years, and just found out I knew them and was so happy that I did when my mother died. And now have a new relationship with them again, one that had been lost because we all went away and moved away and raised families. And yeah, we talked and we saw each other once in a while, but we didn't know anything about us and who we were. They still don't know a whole lot about me, and that's probably a good thing. Okay, but here's my point. And the people we don't know, like the strangers, chances are they would be the best prospects of all. But here's another paradigm that goes along right with it that keeps people shut down. And that's, I don't know what to say. What does everybody ask you? Which will take me back to a sponsor's responsibility. What does everybody ask you as a sponsor? What do I say? What do I say? We'll just show them the video. What do I say? We'll just ask them this. Well, what do I say? We'll just get them to the website. Yeah, but now look at this. This is a cultural problem. I believe that people today in the culture that we live in have forgotten how to communicate. They've actually kind of lost, like a muscle they don't use. If you don't believe that, look at the people on their cell phones. I think technology has exacerbated. Has Facebook connected us with people that we haven't been in touch with since we were in grade school? Yeah, it has, and I love Facebook. But Facebook doesn't get me closer to anybody. It just puts me in touch with them. We're in touch with lots of people, but we're not comfortable in conversations because we think people need to be interested in us. And the whole objective, let's face it, let's tell the truth about this. Isn't the objective in network marketing, what they send you out to do, what you're going out to do is get people interested in you? Huh? Get people interested in you so they'll be interested in your product. Get people interested in you so they'll want to be in business with you. Get people interested in you. What if that's backwards? What if it's backwards? I mean, Dale Carnegie said decades and decades ago, interested people are interesting, not go out and be interesting. He said interested people. So what we've lost culturally, this isn't anybody's fault. If the idea is to make you feel good, not bad, but it's like, think about this. We don't connect with people anymore unless we have an agenda. Like people are saying, well, yeah, hey, Tom, hi, haven't talked to you in 5 years, just thinking about you the other day. What are you doing these days for money? I mean, how do you think, how do you think that, okay, what'd you get in, Russ? I mean, don't you see how transparent that is? It really is. It's better to say, hey, Tom, we haven't talked in 5 years. I have an agenda. That's much better. That actually works. Okay, Russ, what's your agenda? Then you tell them, okay, I don't want to buy anything. Or maybe I'd be interested in that, but at least it's honest. What if you could just, and you know what, being interested in people, the best thing about that doesn't cost a thing. Will everybody you'd be interested in be a prospect? Of course not. But what if they didn't have to be? So what I'm trying to show you here is we've got this model, this paradigm of prospecting where it's about what you say. It's not, in my opinion, in the world according to Russ DeVan, the key to prospecting is listening, not speaking. It's being interested, not being interesting. So it's like, you really can't get this one wrong. One day I'm going to write down like postulates or axioms that have my name on them. One of them is going to be, a closed mouth gathers no feet. Okay, so people think, and that's what they're afraid of. I'm going to say the wrong thing. Guess what? You won't say the wrong thing if you're talking. You can't say the wrong thing if you're listening. You can't. And you can't get being interested in somebody wrong. It's impossible. You can't do it. So why don't you let go of all the technique, let go of all the crap, let go of all the hidden agendas, and just start talking to people and being interested in them and what's up for them. Really, I mean, you mean, but to get to the, no, not to get to the anything, just that. Because what will happen is, I also say there's another thing, we don't know what we're looking for. Like it's truly, we have no, like when we get somebody that's interested and wants to do this and they're actually a responsible person, we're surprised. Oh my God, really? You know, it's like we're shocked. Well, what if you picked them on purpose? Have you ever heard this thing? Oh, you see, the secret to this is a numbers game. Now, what you got to do is you got to go out there and be uncomfortable, you see. Now, I know it's uncomfortable, but just go be uncomfortable for a while. It's good for you. Go out there and be uncomfortable. Hey, everybody, come on over here. I got a hot deal where you get to be uncomfortable. Okay? Go out there and be uncomfortable and just talk to 100 people. If you talk to 100 people, I know that sounds hard, but you can do it. Talk to 100, make it a list. Everybody you know, everybody you don't know, everybody you come in contact with. Who's your dog catcher? Who's your mailman? Who's your this and that? Just talk to them all. Just talk to them all. Because you'll get 5 out of 100. You'll probably get 5. Then you go get another 5. Just talk to another 100. So if you talk to 500 people, you'll probably get 25 people. Oh my God, I'm signing up for that. Really? If that's the flag you're running up the flagpole, you're not going to have a whole lot of people salute it. I'm just saying. Okay. So what if you talk to the right 5 right off the bat? How would you do that? Well, you can talk to lots of people and be interested in them, but you know what a prospect sounds like. A prospect sounds like somebody who doesn't say, oh my God, network marketing? Really? A prospect doesn't sound like, well, I don't know. If this is a network marketing thing, that's not a prospect. Now, which do you think is easier, talking to somebody that's open or getting somebody open? Now, you might say, Russ, I got to tell you, in my experience, everybody hates it, but me. Ah, okay. Let's talk about you for a second. Because if you're a distributor, I say you were a good prospect. So what is it about you that made you a good prospect? Because I can tell you, I don't know anybody on this call with the possible exception of Ken, who I don't know very well. And I know this, I know something about all of you. I can know at least 3 things, maybe 4 things, maybe 5 things that I think I'll get your agreement on that made you a good prospect. Here's one. You don't know everything. Like you're open to the possibility that you don't know everything. Okay, and that you know, you're willing to be open and learn something you didn't know before. I got to tell you, that's a special quality, because I meet people that know everything all the time. Okay, and you know what's the common denominator with the people that know everything? Nothing works for them. Nothing. Their life is a mess. It's a train wreck, and it's always surprises me because they know everything. Okay, here's another thing I know about you. You like people. Now, I don't mean like people like a used car salesman likes people. I mean you like people, which means people have baggage, people have stuff, people have crap. People are a pain in the tuchus. They are, but you like them anyway. You just, you know, like you like people. You care about them. You want to make a difference for them. You just love people. Well, you know what? If you're not open and you don't like people, network marketing is a terrible business choice. It just is. Okay. So for me, those are probably the 2 most important qualities in a prospect. And you know what? Those are just about the only ones they need to have. Other ones are good, having discipline, having guts, having courage, you know, being responsible. Those things are important, but not as important as caring about people and being open. They're really not. Because you can do anything with those 2 qualities with this business model. So now you're beginning to see, I hope, what makes untraining a little different. I'm talking about maybe what you've learned, and I'm challenging it and hopefully, you know, getting somewhere with that. Well, the nature of my training is like that. it's disruptive in nature. And I know that's been beaten to death. That's disruptive. Is it? I like being disruptive. You know, I'm writing a book, and it's not a how-to book. It's about network marketing. I'm so just gonna tell you this in advance. It's about my 40 years and what I've seen in network marketing. So it's more like a story, but not a horror story, but it's going to be a funny story, but it's going to be real experiences. And hopefully people can extract from that some of what I've learned. But the title of it is going to sell the book, I think. And I'm going to share it with you. It was an old expression of my mother's. True. The title of the book is going to be called The Skunk at the Lawn Party. And I am the skunk at the lawn party when it comes to network marketing. What's been taught, what's been trained, what's being told today, as well-meaning as much of it is, I think is flat broken. And I think that in order for people to be successful today in the network marketing model, a couple things need to happen. They need to take it on to be responsible for their own success. It isn't going to come from a company. It's not going to come from me. It's not going to come from a sponsor. It's not going to come from a training. It's going to come from them. It's going to come from what they design. The name of my company is Success by Design, because I don't believe success is an accident. Success by Design, which is 30 years old, was my stand for network marketing. It was my stand for people succeeding on their own, out of their own power and responsibility. When we sponsor people in this business, the paradigm, again, sorry, but the paradigm that exists is that somehow we're responsible for their success. We're responsible for their motivation. And I say we're not responsible for either one. And if we are responsible or make ourselves responsible for that, we're ripping them off. You are not responsible for somebody's success. They are. Now, you might say, okay, Russell, what am I responsible for? Well, I have a thought on that. Here's what it would be. You're responsible for an example. And I would say an example has different pieces to it. An example of how the product works. An example how the business model works, meaning demonstrating how the product is moved, demonstrating how people are enrolled, demonstrating that one can have financial success. You don't have to know that up front or be financially successful. If people had to be financially successful before they were successful, nobody would ever be successful. Okay, I mean, think about it. And it's silly. We walk around acting like, oh, but I can't because I haven't really. Nonsense. There's 4 questions that I want you to remember, and I've gone all over the place, but there's 4 things that I want you to think about today. 4 questions that you want to be able to answer for yourself, and it'll get back to something I've already mentioned. But these are 4 simple questions. The first question is, what am I building? So it's not what company you're with, because that's not important. I mean, it's not that I want you to dismiss the company. You do have a strategic alliance with a company that you're connected to. They're providing you with a product. They're providing you with an opportunity. You have the marketing rights to their product. They might make the product. They might produce it, manufacture it. But as the distributor, as an independent contractor, you have the right to distribute the product. That's the marketing rights to the product. How many of you are operating as if you own a company that has the marketing rights to something, or even speak it that way? Or do you say, I just got involved in, and maybe you've heard about it. It's really an exciting thing, and it's this deal, and it's called this, and people go, uh-oh. When you're speaking as the owner of a company that owns the marketing rights to a brilliant new device, to a brilliant new product or technology, people hear you differently. They don't say, is this network marketing? They don't say that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I hope I get back to that. But anyway, so one of the things you're responsible for is an example. So these questions, the first question is, what am I building? The second question is, who does it include? Who does it include? Who is going to be with me as partners in this? Not the downline, not the team. I mean, the team's fine. People like to say, I hear people call organizations of 10,000 people a team. And you know what? I think that's patronizing, to be quite honest. I really do. It's not their team. It's somebody else's team, and their 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 team. They don't even know people that are in their organization. How can they be on their team? So it's not a matter of the semantics between organization and team, but when you are building your team, your board of directors, your partners is the way I like to look at it. Is we're all together. It doesn't matter that I'm the sponsor and you're not, because you're going to be the sponsor of somebody too. What matters is that we're partners and we're all doing something together. So what do your partners look like? And the question that you might want to ask about who does it include is, what do they need to do to qualify? So what would it feel like if when you enrolled somebody, they felt honored instead of chased or put upon? Or I'll let you know. You know what, Mary? I'll let you know. Hey, Paula? Yeah, sounds good. I'll get back to you. What would it be like if they were like, oh my God, and you thought of me, and my ship's just come in. You've just made my whole week. And we're going to do what? And it's going to be what? And it's going to go where? And you're going to help me how? What if it was like that? Instead of, well, you see, well, this is what you got to do. And then you're going to do this. And I'm going to support you all the way. I'm going to be right there behind you while you're doing all the work. Because it's not what you're saying. It's just what they hear. So what are you building? Who does it include? What does it provide? What are you providing? What difference are you making to the world, to people? What does it provide? Here's the last question. Why would somebody want to be part of it? Why would somebody want to be a part of it? Now, nobody's going to ever ask you those questions, okay? But they will ask you other questions. And if you know the questions, answers, those questions, the answers to those questions I just gave you, you'll never have to say, I just got involved with again. They'll say, what do you do? You say, I own my own company. What does your company do? Well, it does this. Well, why'd you get interested in that? Well, because I'm creating this. So the way I like to do it is the short version of that is this. You see that train over there? The one on the tracks that has the engines running? That one? I own that train. That's my train. That train is going to a place where you'll never have to worry about money again. It's a fun place. And the people that are on that train are the coolest people you'll ever be around. Okay? And that train's leaving. I own it. Here's the ticket. You deserve to get on it. How enrollment differs from recruiting is recruiting in how it's trained today, I say, looks more like begging, dragging, kicking, and screaming. Enrolling is creating a vision, like a powerful vision, a value, a direction, a possibility that's just so incredible. It's irresistible to people. They I'm in, do it. Yes, let's. What do I do now? That's the conversation that you can create. Get back to a sponsor's responsibility. The example that you set has to do with your vision, what you're including them in, what you're actually proving is so. Does that mean you got to prove that there's already a double diamond, triple superlater in this company before you can come back to them? You know, have you ever had the question, well, I don't know, how much money are you making at it? You know, some people say things like that. So, you know what? I'm not going to tell you how much money I'm making ever about anything. I mean, it's number one. I mean, you don't say that, of course, that's none of your business, but it's like, if somebody's asking that, there's something missing in the conversation that has to do with you, is what I'm saying. So example is the first part of a sponsor's responsibility. Direction is the second part of a sponsor's responsibility. And what do I mean by direction? I mean, they want to know, where do I go? What do I do? And how do I do it? Where do I go? That's the prospecting piece. What do I do? That's the selling and recruiting piece, which I call promoting and enrolling in my particular untraining, which are distinctly different from selling and recruiting. Not in result. They're different in action. They're different in actually what the intended result is. Selling, the intended result is always a sale. And sales is a technique, it's tried and true. But by any means, it's a force. And natural law would indicate, and I say recruiting is a force too, but natural law would indicate that there's an equal and opposite reaction for everything in the universe. So what is the reaction to force? It's resistance, isn't it? So why do you think the most important thing to learn in sales technique is overcoming resistance? My question is, how do you overcome resistance without making somebody wrong? And my next question is, how many people love to be wrong? So here's another possibility. We know force exists. Force is actually defined by resistance, isn't it? And I say that because force is always measured by the power with which it's resisted. What resists it? Like tornadoes and hurricanes, they get their strength not just from the speed of the wind, by the force with which it'll strike against something. That's why you fear the speed of the wind, is because of that. So let me ask you this. Does resistance exist by itself anywhere in the universe? Think about it. Can resistance exist without a force? No, it can't. Resistance is only present in the presence of a force. So if that thinking is correct, if you remove force, resistance disappears. So if you're selling something, you're creating the resistance. You're actually creating it. That's why in sales technique, you have to learn how to overcome it. If you don't overcome it, you don't get the sale. So overcome it, close the sale, overcome the objections, overcome it, overcome it. What if you don't create them in the first place? Now, you know, Madison Avenue figured this out a long time ago. Because if you've noted, there's plenty of commercials on television, Mike Lindell comes to mind, but there's plenty of commercials on television where they're not selling anything. They're speaking a compelling message, and you're busy writing down a phone number or a website or a how to get it. They're not standing there saying, "Hey, Russ, couch potato, you know, you'd do well to have the beach body in the next couple months. You only have so much time." You know, there's nobody saying that in my living room. I see the rippling abs, and I see the, you know, yeah, you know, that might be a good idea. I'm going to do that. That's not selling. And yet hundreds of millions of dollars in sales are created every day with that. Do you know that you can create the same thing without selling? You can enroll anyone you want without recruiting them. As a matter of fact, it's much better if it's their idea, which is the whole point behind enrollment. A vision, a value, a direction, a possibility in which somebody gets an irresistible choice, just like in promoting. So those are valuable distinctions, if you will, from what's going on. And this is a very rich subject, and it's some of the material that I train or untrain, if you will. But the bottom line is this. I think we need a new possibility for how organizations are built, how people are enrolled, how people are prospected. What if I told you that you and I won't charge for this, but what if I told you that I could help you create an unlimited resource for prospects? More prospects than you could ever say grace over without ever using warm and cold market thinking, without ever buying a lead. And by the way, that whole cottage industry of leads, nothing wrong with it, but that whole cottage industry of leads has been born out of people's concerns that they don't want to talk to their warm market. They think if they buy a lead, somehow that'll be different. Guess what? A lead isn't somebody in your business. It's somebody you got to talk to. So sooner or later, you got to have a conversation. And what if nobody knows how to have a conversation anymore? Why do you think that? Why do you think the lead business just goes on and on? Because people buy more and more leads. They think, oh my gosh, well, all these people to talk to. Well, hell, use the phone book. They still have phone books.
I don't think so.
Okay. But it's like, it's not that. It's not all these people that we need to talk to. It's knowing what a prospect looks and sounds like. It's learning the art of creating a conversation without an agenda, or if you have an agenda, tell people you have an agenda. I'm serious about that. It works. If you haven't talked to somebody in a long time and you think there's somebody you want to have in your business, go up to them, say, hey, buddy, you know, I think a lot of you, right? Right. I have an agenda. Right up front. And they'll say, okay, what? Do you know nobody ever says that? They just hide what they're doing. So terrified. Oh, so what if they ask me if it's network marketing? Then what am I going to say? I'm like, oh my gosh, God, is there a way to get them interested first? And then I'll tell them it's network marketing. And then I know that all hell's going to break loose, but maybe I can get over that. Gosh, you guys. So I'm going to leave you with one more thought, and then I'd like to open it up. And I'm sorry I've gone on and on. I say I never like to monologue, and we'll have no trouble talking for 60 minutes. But I want to just throw out something kind of fun with what we talked about. And I say this because I think you can have an awful lot of fun with it. So the next time, hopefully we'll get to having parties again without masks and things. But the next time you're at a social gathering of some kind, and you really don't know anybody there, and you already know the answers to those 4 questions, by the way: what you're building, who does it include, what does it provide, and why would somebody want to be a part of it? So you're at a social gathering, and somebody says, you know, you're just in a conversation with somebody, but this person you're talking to, you really dig them, you like them. I mean, a lot. Like they're the kind of person that they seem to be really cool. I mean, you might want to be in business with. So you say, let me ask you a question. What do you think about network marketing? Then fasten your seatbelt, because chances are, you know, it's going to come unglued. They're going to go, oh my God, network marketing? Why are you in network marketing? Oh my gosh, network marketing is. So all I want you to do is listen to what they say. And as soon as they stop speaking, get them speaking again. Like they say, oh my God, network marketing. No, heck, why? Are you in network marketing? Tell me what you know about network marketing. Well, I was in Herbalife once. Well, my grandmother was in Amway. Well, this happened. Oh, network marketing is one of those pyramid things. And blah, 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 blah. You just listen, and you listen. Just listen. Listen to what they're saying, and listen to where their concerns are. Listen to what they're saying. Oh my God, they got ripped off. Oh my God, they had a horrible product. Oh my God, the thing blew up. Oh my God, people lost money. Oh my God, you go, God, that was awful. Tell me more about that. No, oh my God, that happened. Then what happened? So like that, until they're exhausted, like you've exhausted everything they want to say about all they know and all their opinions about network marketing. Then you say, let me ask you a question. Are you open to the possibility of network marketing working for you? One of 2 things is going to happen. Either they're going to say, hey, LRA, you've been listening to me for the last 15 minutes. I said I wouldn't do it with your money. No, not in a million years would I be. Say, thanks. I'll never bring it up again. Or they might say, well, you know, if it was the right person, the right thing, the right time, the right this, the right that, yeah, maybe I'm. Say, good. I'd like to have a conversation with you sometime about what I'm creating. Not now, just sometime. But you do something. Number one, you have fun. That's what the whole thing of this. And the funny thing is, other people get in on. They're like, oh, I want in on that. So the fun thing is, it's just exploring who's open and who's not. That's all you're doing. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to pitch anything. You don't bring up a product. You don't bring up a company. It's just like seeing who's open. You'll see that 9 out of 10 people aren't even open to it based on what they think, and they don't know anything about it. Most of them, they're just going by their experiences. But now understand that you're living in a world like that. So hiding network marketing isn't the answer. Shifting it is. Shifting how it's done and succeeding at it is how that changes. And that, my friends, is what I want to enroll you in with your own success, changing the world. And I'm not kidding about that, because I have a project, and my project is to have my training produce 1,000 cash flow millionaires by the end of next June, by June 30th, 2021. And you might think that's outrageous, but it's not as outrageous as it sounds. Number one, I've done it before. I've never done it by design in this time frame, but I have had the grace and the good fortune and the blessing to make that kind of a difference for people who are still writing about it, that they were lost and they didn't know what to do. And you know, they listened to me and we spent some time together, and boom, they're making $250,000 a month. Okay, that will happen for you. It can happen for us together. And I would be so honored and blessed to just be a part of it. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Ken. I know there's a whole bunch of stuff I didn't say. I know I probably said too much of what I shouldn't have said, but anyway.
You know what? I love this. Thank you, Russ. I so much appreciate this. And I got tons of nuggets, and I've talked to you before, and I still have tons more nuggets here. And these are golden nuggets. And I'm sure that, you know, folks out there in the audience have gotten these too. And just think about that one question or that one goal, one purpose that Russ has got, and that's to create 1,000 cash flow millionaires by next June. Now that's a pretty big goal. It's a great goal. And I love the fact that it's so possible. Who wants to be on board with that? Pick me, right? Pick me. So I would love to have a moment here to do some Q&A. And if anyone out there has, and I'm sure you do, a burning question or something that is just, wow, let's get a little bit deeper into this for a moment. Let's spend a little time doing that. So anyone out there want to have a question, unmute yourself and introduce yourself and say hello. Anybody?
Well, I hope so.
Well, that's
calling people by name if you don't start speaking out.
Right? Come on, guys.
I have a quick.
Okay.
All right, Mary. Somehow I knew you and Paula. I knew you'd be the ones. Okay, go ahead. Get out there.
Okay, so you know, I think that you made a really great point in the very beginning, is that we know people, but we don't know people. And so, you know, what is a great way of kind of unlocking and those warm leads that we have, of kind of, you know, fleshing out the conversations. I mean, if you have any pointers where that's concerned.
This is the best pointer that I can give you, and this is something I speak a lot about, and that's a wonderful question, by the way. And it gets back to looking for the right thing to say someone to open them up. And there isn't a right thing to say to someone to open them up. That's the bad news. But here's the good news. The good news in the secret to connecting is in how you listen to people. So let me say something about, it's not just your listening that's important. It's the listening that you're speaking into as well. So what you do is, there isn't a way, as I said earlier, to get interested in, to get that wrong, to get being interested in someone wrong. So let me say something about listening. We basically are always listening. Okay, there is no such thing as not listening. There's people say, "Oh, you're not listening." We're always listening to something. Okay, even the deaf listen. Okay, but we have a kind of listening that we're born with, and that listening that we're born with is reactive in nature. It's what I call automatic listening. It's like your arms and your legs. So if you think you can change the way you listen, sorry. And no more than you can change your skin, or you can change your arm or your leg. You can't. It's what you're born with. And that reactive listening sounds like this. Hurry up. Finish, get to the point, Russ, will you? I really, I should be arranging the sock drawer. Or, you know what, I don't agree. This guy's okay, but I don't agree with what he says. I mean, some of what he says makes sense, but I don't agree. Agree, disagree. Not being there at all, being somewhere else. That's how we listen. How many people do you know, have you ever looked at somebody and it looked like they were listening? We've got the art of looking like we're listening down to like, we got the down, like, yeah, no, yeah, yeah. And, we're not there. We stopped listening to them a long time ago. We like checked out on them, but we don't want to be impolite. So we look like we're listening, That's how many of us listen. And so that kind of listening, it's there. And only when you start to notice that it's there, can you do something else. And the something else that you want to do, I call generated listening. Here's generated listening. Generated listening is listening with an interest for what's there, like what people are really saying. I like to think the way to keep in generated listening is by listening for concerns. Say, how do you do that? Believe me, if somebody is talking about their weight, they've got a concern. I'm fat. I got to go on a diet. I got to sign up for a gym. We hear that all the time, but we don't say, do you have a concern? Now, some people that are selling a network marketing weight loss product will say, hey, I got just the thing for you, because they'll just jump on it. And the people go, oh, get away from me with that stuff. But when you listen to people, there's two things to listen for in generated listening. You listen to what they say, but you're listening in generated listening for what somebody's not saying. I know that sounds abstract, but you're listening for what they're not saying, and what you're listening for specifically are the two things that move everyone to action. And those are concerns and commitments. So let me give you an example of generated listening versus automatic listening. I'm assuming everyone here's flown an airplane. So when you get on the airplane, you sit down in your seat, right before the plane takes off, they read you the deal, the FAA. Okay, this is your seatbelt.
Then all of a sudden the pattern changes, right?
What's that?
I'm not paying for it. Shift happens. So that's I want to know. I want to know more and more.
Is Isabel or
is a Mizzou?
Oh, that's June. June, if you could get your mic, June.
Even like this, I had to
Sorry.
Or actually, Russ, you could mute June.
We're good. So when you're on an airplane, you know how they do the FAA regulation thing? You sit down in your seat, and this is how you do your seatbelt, and this is where look for the exit throws, and down there. Okay. Well, we sit down and we hear that. We've heard it a million times. We sit down and we like, yeah. Okay, here's the card. Here's the magazine. Get ready. Okay, can't wait. Let's take off. We hear that, but we don't really hear it, right? So, okay, that is everyone listens to that the same way. But let me give you another scenario. The plane's at 30,000 feet and it busts an engine and it starts to go down. And the flight attendant stands up and grabs a mic. How are you listening now? Okay. Like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. Plane's going down. Yeah, no. Okay. That's the difference between those two kinds of listening. So to answer your question specifically, Mary, all you need to do, there is no way to do this, but you need to ask questions that will show you're interested in someone. Real questions. Don't ask questions like you're not really interested in that and don't want to hear it, because they'll see you going, yeah, okay, hurry up so I can ask you what I really want to ask you. It really has to be like interested. And in that, there may be a prospect. There may not be. But you don't have to listen for a prospect. What you listen for are the qualities that you're looking for. And those qualities, what's on top of those qualities are concerns and commitments.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you heard somebody, I really want to make some more money? Okay, now this is also Russ DeVan's opinion. I don't believe we get what we want. I'm sorry. That might be a downer. I don't believe we get what we want. And if you don't believe me, go out and look up at the sky tonight. If it's a clear night, sit down in a chair, stare at the moon, and tell it how badly you want to do something and see how much difference it makes. I mean, really want it badly. The universe doesn't move for what we want. It moves for what we're committed to. And that might sound like semantics, but it's not. Because let me show you the difference. We're committed to the lives of our children. Commitment isn't a position you take, like, yeah, they're going to be okay, I think. That's a position. If somebody said to you, is your child going to starve? You'd say, you kidding me? No. Well, how do you know that? How do you know that? Give me evidence your child's not going to starve. You can't. You cannot give evidence your child's not going to starve. But you know what? You can say, I'll tell you why they're not going to starve. Because I say so. Okay? That's the difference between a position and taking a stand on something. And that's also what a commitment is. We have always gotten everything in our life we've ever been committed to. I remember the first time I fell in love, I didn't think that was possible, that one day but I was committed to it. And it occurred. When we're committed to something, it occurs. And guess what? There is no commitment in the world. We're always committed to something. So when we start aligning what our commitments are, that's what makes them. Now you say, why is this important in the conversation, Mary? It is because you can listen in what people are saying and hear commitments. You can listen in what people are saying and hear concerns. And out of those concerns and commitments is the possibility of a relationship. And out of the possibility of a relationship is the possibility of a business relationship, maybe. But what would it be like if we started having conversations like that instead of prospecting conversations, is my whole point. So there's no way you can get this one wrong. I absolutely love you for stepping up and asking. And did that give you any satisfaction in your question?
It did. It
Okay.
told me that you had already said basically that there's no difference between a warm lead or a cold lead. It's just being interested in people.
Yes.
So,
And as mundane as that sounds, it's a lost art form. We don't know how to have conversations anymore. And you know what else? We don't have time to be interested in them. Just tell me whether you're going to do this or not. Okay? It's kind of like, just tell me whether you're going to do this or not. I'm not really interested in you, because you know what? You're saying that anyway. That's what they're getting. You're not interested in me. You're interested in selling something. You're interested in getting me to do something. So what if that wasn't it? What if you could actually say that? I don't give a rat's behind whether you do this. You know, have you ever heard this? Have you ever heard, well, you know, this is like going to a good movie or going to a restaurant you really love or going on vacation. They tell people about that. And they go, oh, yeah, okay, I'm good. Well, that would be great if we behaved that way, but we don't. When we send somebody to a movie that we really love, we don't care whether they go or not. We don't call to check to see if they bought a ticket. We don't march them over to the ticket office. They don't think we're getting paid for it. So it's a different conversation. If we were not attached to whether people bought a product or got in a business, do you know how much better results we'd have? Because people would think we were talking about it to them for them and not for us. And that's the whole key. And as simple as that sounds, people don't do it. They don't get it. See, I told you I'd tell you stuff you already know. I know you already know all this, but you don't think about it. Okay, so anyway, thank you, Mary. And you know what? Now, somebody else was going to speak.
I think Paula wanted to.
Paula, give it to me, Paula.
Yeah, this is such a great talk. I love this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But I noticed for myself, when people are talking about, well, for me, making some more money to have in my life sounds really great. I love the product you have. I just am so in love with it. And I love using it with people. The learning curve for me is marketing piece. This has all been really great techniques or steps however you want to put it, to make it happen. But when people are talking about the figures, the numbers, like you were saying, you're going to be working with some people and they're going to make X amount of dollars. That kind of throws me off, and I'm not quite.
So okay, this is great, Paula. This is a beautiful one. Okay.
Okay.
So this brings us to another paradigm. Okay. Here's a paradigm that exists in our profession, if we want to call it that. I've had trouble thinking of this as an industry. It gets called an industry all the time. I see it more as like a profession or a avocation or something. But anyway, that's a moot point. So here's what people do. You have a compensation structure within Healy. You know, you have a way that you get paid based on what you build and how much you sell, and everyone has a comp plan. So what they used to call those, by the way, marketing plans, which couldn't be a bigger misnomer. Okay, they're not marketing plans, they're compensation systems. Okay, but what people have a tendency to do is they think about a compensation plan abstractly. They think, okay, that's what I got to do that to make this. When I get to here, I make this. When I get to here, I make that. Do you know that's not true? Because how you got there depends on how you got there, what you built to get there, how much of it was your effort, how much came from the effort of an organization. And that's the way all these structures are put together, because it's how the company makes money. And you think it's how you make money. Of course it's how you make money, but it's how they make a profit. They can still pay all this out in this system and still make a profit. So what if you started looking at it like this? You looked at it, Paula, like you have this company, and your company has a financial goal, and your financial goal is within, and it can be whatever you want it to be. So I'm just going to use numbers. I don't care.
Okay.
So we're going to say that you're going to work with Ken and me for the next year, and to declare success and satisfaction that what you've built is serving you and what you're creating, you're going to be at $20,000 a month, okay, in 12 months from now. You got no clue on how that happens. You're not sure, but you know, that's where you got to be. And you've already taken that and you've mapped it onto so what. And the so what is, guess what? We don't work for money either. That's another one I'm going to shock you with. We don't. I don't care what the amount is. Money means nothing. We think we work for money. We don't. We work for something that a certain amount of money provides, whether it's a home and mortgage or a car or lifestyle or education or whatever it is. That's what we're committed to. We're not committed to the money. So when you pick a goal like $20,000 a month or $30,000 a month or $5,000 a month or whatever it is, what will move you is not the amount of money. That, in fact, might shut you down, because where you'll go is, I've never done $20,000 a month or more. How the hell do I do that? Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I said 20. That's unrealistic. That's not realistic. Is that realistic, Harry? No, that's not realistic. Okay. So $20,000 a month means nothing except for what it provides. So Paula, first you set the goal, okay? Then you look at the compensation plan and what you need to build in the compensation plan with the parameters of the compensation plan that yields $20,000 a month consistently. So maybe it looks like, and I'm just making these numbers up, I don't even know what the compensation plan structure is, but it doesn't matter. I don't care whether it's a matrix, a binary, a trinary, a unilevel, a whatever it is, doesn't matter. This formula still applies. It all boils down to volume and the number of people doing X each month. That's all it boils down to. So let's assume that it's a binary, which I think it is. But if it's a binary, let's say that you have, you know, matching bonuses figured in, and you've got volume bonuses, and you're being paid on what I like to call the money side, and the power side is where you've got, you know, all the stuff that you don't get paid on. You don't have control over that. You have control over the money side. Okay. So you build a team, and the team is on both sides, because you're going to have both sides to qualify. But once you establish, you have a certain number on your team, personally enrolled team, that are earning a certain amount, then you also earn that amount. So it looks like the reflection of your teams. On the teams that are on your power side, where you're getting a matching bonus or something, then you're helping them, or you're You're working with them is going to be a reflection of what they make. On your other side, it's a reflection of what you make from the volume that's created there. So what if you had 5 personally enrolled people who were earning $5,000 a month? I don't care which side they're on. You had 5 that were earning $5,000 a month in whatever you need to build in order to achieve that. Well, I say you're probably going to be earning $20,000 a month. And almost every structure I've ever seen, that would be the case. So that's essentially a skeleton of what you're building. Now you got to set out to build it. So when people are saying, well, how do you know how much money I'm going to make? You don't know how much money they're going to make. It depends on what they're committed to, what you're willing to create with them in terms of a project over the next year. One of the things I teach is creating a project. This is how you keep people engaged instead of motivated. Trying to keep people motivated is like herding cats, okay? It's like plate spinning, okay? You're not responsible for their motivation and you can't keep them motivated. What you can do though, is you can find out what they're committed to and you can co-create a plan to get what they're committed to and then keep them engaged in that plan because it's their plan, not your plan, not the company's plan, it's their plan. So when you do that, that's how you can credibly talk to people about earning money that you haven't earned. They'll say, well, how do you know that, Paul? Because I got a plan. Well, how do you know I'll do that? I don't know. It all depends on how you want to play. You're the only one that can do this. I can help, I can assist, I can support you. And by the way, instead of thinking of your responsibility as a sponsor, motivating and succeeding, you know those 3 things? Example, direction, support. Support looks like creating a project with someone that you support them in. That means communication goes both ways. That means that you have an idea of what they're building. They have an idea of what they're building and know why and what it is they're committed to. I'm not a person that likes the question, what is your why? I think that's strange. I don't know who made it up. I like to say, you know, it doesn't mean that's bad or wrong. You happen to like that phrase. I just think it's odd. I like to ask people what they're committed to. What do you want to create? What can we be in together where I get behind you to create a whole new possibility for happiness and life working for you? Because make no mistake about it, this isn't about business or just about business. It's not. It never is. It's about life. It's about choice. It's about survival. But most of all, it's about choice.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
So, sorry, that was probably a long-winded answer to your question, Paula. Did you get anything from that you were seeking, or did I just go off on a soapbox?
Well, you did do that a little. That's great.
To be fair.
So
No, that
Paula
definitely brought me some clarity.
And I know Paula, and she's an awesome friend of mine. And one of the things I've heard Paula talk about in the past is that we're talking about creating relationships. And if you know, so who are we talking to, right? If a concern happens to be, you know, I don't know enough people, right? And Russ kind of touched on this. I don't know enough people to create this masses or whatever it is. Hey, June, can I have you mute your mic for me? Thanks. And then, so if we don't know in our mind, we don't know enough people, that's another misnomer, because if we are engaged in our lives and we're out there moving around our lives and communicating and engaging with humanity, creating relationships, like Russ has been talking about, creating relationships and listening for those intimate understandings of a person. That's what creates. You're not looking for a prospect. I love what Russ talks about. We're looking for relationships. Yeah. And so when we're out in our life, and the purpose of just being out in our life is creating relationships. Now, again, what did we say earlier, or what did Russ say? You gotta want to like people. I mean, there's gotta be something, some part of you that likes people.
Like I'm a little, at least, you know, be able to put up with people's stuff, because, you know, it kills me, because what's said more often about this business than any other single thing, I think, is, oh, it's about relationships. This is all about building relationships. Well, yeah. Well, if it's about relationships, the most dysfunctional family I've ever seen in my life, because you know what?
Yeah.
People are lousy at building relationships, which this is supposed to be about. If you do focus on that, if you create relationships, you won't ever run out of people to talk to. And Paula wants to say something, and I think we've shut her down. Paula, what were you going to say?
No, I was just muting myself.
Okay.
So you didn't get back.
Okay. So I know we're almost at time, Ken, and I know I've gone way over, but I'd love to, if anybody wants to, Carla, is it Carla? Unmute your mic there. There you go.
I just want to know how to get into your project. I mean, it's like you've told us everything, but you've given us no.
Yeah, well, I didn't come here to pitch you on me. Actually, I'm just,
I've been researching you for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, well, we'll listen, if you want to work with me, this goes out to everybody. We'll find a way to do that. Okay. And I would be honored to work with you. I would be honored. And so,
I'm in Yuma, Arizona. So when I come to Scottsdale, we'll do lunch.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You're a neighbor.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And you know, thank you for that, Carla. And I really came here as Ken's guest to meet you without the intention of getting you to buy anything from me. So it's been an honor and a pleasure just being with you. And I'd love for us to work together. I would love every one of you to be in my project. And I'm as serious as a lock gate about that. And a cash flow millionaire, in case you don't define it this way or you want to know what that is, that's somebody who earns $80,000 a month or more. And I need 1,000 of them. And I could tell you something that you think you say a lot. I don't know 1,000 people. So the only way I can do that is by intimately knowing 50 or 100 who accomplish that and achieve it with 10 or 20 people of their own. And that's what I'm out to create. And the purpose of that isn't to build a castle for Russ DeVan. Just let me say this piece. It is to shift network marketing. And I believe, just so you know this piece, in order for you to earn $1 million in a network marketing project, in almost all cases, never mind the company or the compensation structure, you need to build a $20 million a year organization that you're averaging 5% on. Okay. So that's why not very many people have done it, regardless of what you hear. But when 1,000 of us do that, which I don't believe has ever been done by design, what we will have produced in volume, no matter how many companies are involved, what we will have produced in volume is 20 billion in sales. 20 billion is roughly 10% of the gross of the business model worldwide. I think that's enough to change the paradigm. It's still a so what though. You think I want on my headstone, he shifted network marketing? Okay, no. What I want, I've had serious health challenges in the last 3 years, 3 big scares, and I've been blessed to escape through all 3 of them. Okay, first was a stroke, the second was cancer, and now I've got congestive heart failure. And no, I'm not. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I plan on living a long time, but I don't know. I just don't know. So I want my life while I do live to have counted for something. So I'm creating a legacy that goes on past my death. It's called the Success by Design Global Foundation. And this is a nonprofit organization that will give to my pet charities, children's causes, disaster relief, first responders, things that are special to me. And the reason well, the purpose of that is to do that. But how that will come about is that foundation will be funded with $80 million by the end of next June. And that's going to come from people like you who become millionaires who turn around and donate to the foundation out of their own choice. It's not a mandate, it's not a contract, not a have to. It's like you'll say, you know what, I'm going to use this training. I don't want to own it. I want it to be yours. You don't even have to say Russ DeVan as far as I'm concerned. I want you to take it and use it and prosper from it. I have. And give it away and touch other people's lives and change them. And when we have enough people do that, there will be thousands and thousands and thousands of successful people at any level. Not everybody has to be a millionaire. I bet a lot of people are pretty jacked up about being $100,000 heirs, but it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that you don't pay me, you pay it forward.
Love that. I love that. And the majority of the folks that are here today are really changing the normal. And so, because that's a deep belief in what we have as a product, and folks are actually out there doing it, and being a new normal in their own lives, using the product to create their own health, and then paying that forward. So it just makes sense to now take the industry that we're in and make a new normal for it as well. And I'm in. I'm in. I believe that's why we've come together, and I believe that we can do this together.
Good.
So I would love to wrap it up. If anybody's got another question, I'd be willing to open the mic, and we'll have one last question. Anybody want to chime in? Well, that's great. I mean, I know that you guys are going to digest this information, that we are going to have recording. And
Oh, you are? You're going to have a recording?
We are going to have a recording. Yep. Did you have a question?
Well, I wanted to ask about that. I wanted to say thank you, and I just wanted to find out if there's a recording so I could share it with some people that are not here.
This is going to be a big file, but yeah, there will be a recording.
Yep, there will be a recording. What I'll do with this is I will create a YouTube. I'll create a video. I'll create a YouTube post that we can do and point to. Everybody can grab it. I want to make sure that Russ's information is in there to contact him, and we'll be able to help with the goals that he's on board with. Of course, he helped with the goals we're on board with. Right? This is a handshake. So I'm super grateful for all you guys to be here today, and Russ, man, with huge gratitude, my friend. And
well, it was an honor, Ken. I really mean that, and I know I was all over the place, but my heart goes out and my thanks goes out to all of you for tolerating me for so long, and I hope I shifted. I hope I challenged your thinking. If I challenged your thinking, I got the job done. If I just made you think a little bit, and that was what I was here for. And God bless you, Ken, for putting this on. I so appreciate you, and I'm very, very grateful to all of you. So thank you very much. God bless you.
My pleasure, you guys. All right, well, let's unmute ourselves and tell Russ thank you on our way out, and say goodbye. I love that. Everybody wanted to just say goodbye, and we'll sign off.
Thank you. Thank you, Russ.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And a lot of
so much.
Thanks. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Get it.